Dr. Mollie Marti with Resiliency Matters. This is where we take the resilience research and best practices and break it down into small bite-sized pieces that we can begin using immediately to strengthen ourselves and others. What if you could learn from a woman whose day job is being an award-winning journalist, and she leads a nonprofit that serves kids in low opportunity schools? Would you spend the next 28 minutes with us? What if in the next 10 minutes you could hear how this woman helped break a generational cycle of poverty in her own family? Would you hang out with us? Who is us? My other half today is my friend Beth Malicki. Beth is an award-winning journalist at KCRG TV9, and she is the program leader of Kids on Course. From the very beginning of our work at the National Resilience Institute, when we were a small community resiliency project, Beth has served as a resource and a cheerleader, and I am thrilled to share your expertise and your passion with our viewers today. Welcome.
Oh, thank you. This is an awesome opportunity. I've learned so much from you about resilience and how to support kids, families, and how to support ourselves through that work. So it's just an honor to be here.
And we've been talking about having you in studio for a long time. You're a busy woman, hard to catch, so I am glad you are with us.
Thank you.
Tell us about Kids on Course. What is your mission? How did you start?
So Kids on Course started really as an idea through the Zach Johnson Foundation. Zach and Kim Johnson have huge hearts and wanted to do more in Zach's hometown of Cedar Rapids, Iowa. You know, he's a professional golfer. He tours all over the world. His home now is in Georgia, but his heart is still in Cedar Rapids. And he wanted to do something to support kids like the ones you see in this picture. Kids who have all the hope and light in the world and maybe just need a few more opportunities to reach their individual potentials. So at the Zach Johnson Foundation, of which I'm a board member, we did some research in the community around the issue of poverty and opportunity. And what we learned is that many kids, in fact, the vast majority of kids who are eligible for free or reduced price lunches in the Cedar Rapids Community School District aren't part of any additional programming outside of school. They don't sign up for Boy or Girl Scouts. They don't belong to the local swim team. They don't play soccer in a club sport. They really go to school. So what we found is, what if we went to school too? And we connected them to whatever they might be interested in and really light a fire of excitement for them. And that's the really fun enrichment side of Kids on Course. Then there's the hard work of academic remediation and stretch. And what is that? Well, we know that kiddos who are not on grade level in reading by 4th grade are more likely to not graduate high school on time, not get a living wage, and unfortunately be involved in a cycle of drugs and prison time. We want to avoid all of that. So we work really hard on academics in Kids on Course through after-school tutoring and a 7-week summer camp opportunity. And then we also do that fun enrichment stuff. And we really involve the families. We learned really early on that if you want to be transformative in a child's life, you need to get their parents on board. And the parents have jumped both feet in with us to make sure their kids are signing up for the programs we offer, are maximizing them, and that the parents are reiterating what we talk about in the program and during the school day. Your child's going to college. That's an expectation. College can mean a 2-year degree, a 4-year degree, a trade, military service, some sort of post-education, post-secondary education. And so really it started with Zach and Kim's dream, and now we're serving 800 students in 5 schools in the Cedar Rapids area.
It's wonderful. And you are doing so much right. Every time we have a discussion, I can take it in all these different directions because you are putting the research into practice and the best practices into work in these kids' lives, and it works. I mean, it's just inspiring to see. So you really are leading the way in this community.
Thank you.
So let's talk about, how do kids enter the program? Do they have to jump a bunch of hoops?
No. The reality is, for people who have lived in poverty or near poverty, the stress of everyday life can be unbearable. And I can't emphasize that enough, of how that stress tears you down. And if you have one more hoop to jump through, one more bridge to cross or barrier to climb over, you're going to say, I'm out. You're not going to do it. Even though it might be really good for you and your family to do those things, if it's too hard, you just don't have it in you anymore. You're exhausted by life. So we're based in the schools that we serve. What does that mean? That means each Kids on Course staff member actually has an office within the school, so they see all those kids. If you don't turn in your form, we're going to find you. And it also means that parents know where we are. If they want to have a face-to-face, they know how to get a hold of us. Our cell phone numbers are out there. You can text us, call us anytime, and we will respond. We're accessible. We make it really easy for kiddos to sign up. All they have to do is attend school. You don't have to prove that you have a difficult home situation. You don't have to have low test scores. We target the schools we serve based on the poverty of the school population, the poverty rate, and that's measured by free reduced lunch eligibility numbers. And we only serve schools that are about 70% or higher free reduced lunch eligible kids. And we also only serve schools that have a real academic need as according to the federal guidelines, and that means they're a school in need of assistance, a SINA. So we go where there's a lot of need, but once we're there, we're really barrier free.
Okay. So you know you're getting the kids most in need because you go to those schools most in need. A lot of your families are immigrant families. They do not speak English at home. How do you engage those families?
So we serve those 5 schools, and of those 5, Harrison, Grant, Van Buren Elementaries, Wilson and Roosevelt Middle Schools in Cedar Rapids, 2 of them are ELL buildings. ELL stands for English Language Learner, and that means that students who are still acquiring English language skills attend ELL schools. So we have a lot of students who are first or second generation immigrants and who go home and speak their home language and come to school and speak English. So we need that parent buy-in. We talked about how important it is to have parents on board. So the kids can interact in English and fill out paperwork in English and engage in that language, but we need their parents on board. So we translate all of our communication into their home language. We also have at Van Buren Elementary, where 1 in 4 students speak Spanish at home, our staff member there is bilingual in Spanish and fluent. And that is a huge asset because when you're calling a parent to talk about a student concern, they really want to talk in their home language, because when you talk from your emotion, you want to talk in the language, your first language. And for many of our families that we serve, that is not English. We would really like to serve some other schools in the Cedar Rapids School District. And if we do go into some of them we're looking at, we will need someone who speaks Swahili, French, or Kirundi.
That is fabulous.
Yeah.
And we want to get to your personal story too.
Yeah.
So we're going to give tool number 1 because I knew our time would go quickly, and then we'll be back. So here's your takeaway number 1. An important part of building resilience in others is to strategically eliminate barriers to participation. Breaking the cycle of poverty. We will talk about this when we come back. Hi, I'm Dr. Mollie Marti, and welcome back to Resiliency Matters. Today we are talking with Beth Malicki, Program Leader at Kids on Course. And you have, I promised audience you'd share your passion and expertise, and you're doing both so beautifully. This is important to you.
Yeah.
It's in your heart. Why is the work you're doing to interrupt this cycle of poverty so central to your life?
Sure. So I did not have what you would call a traditional upbringing. My mom and dad had me when they were in high school, and I did not have my dad in my life until I was 20 years old. So my mom was a single mom and didn't graduate high school with a degree, and we didn't have any money. And kids are very aware of that, at least I was. And I knew that education mattered because my mom really instilled that in me. And I felt like she was in my corner academically, but didn't always know how to help me succeed in school. The schools that I went to when I was really young, kindergarten, first grade, we moved a lot, so I went to a number of different schools, and there was just a lot of upheaval. And I found reading. I found it when I was in about 3rd, 4th grade, a series called Babysitter Club books. And it changed my life. I should probably write Anna M. Martin a thank you letter. Being able to escape a little bit my own reality through fiction storytelling and then become a really voracious reader. To this day, I read about a book a week for fun. And that introduced so many concepts and freedom. And I never went on a vacation, but I went on a vacation every day when I read a book. And it just lit up my life. So that was what I thought was happening. What was really happening is I was getting really strong literacy skills. And that meant when they would do standardized testing at my school, I would surprise everybody and score super high. So then I get placed in these extra challenging opportunities from a pretty young age. And lo and behold, now I'm in all these honors courses when I'm in high school. And that was not supposed to be my trajectory. You know, I was the child of a teen pregnancy, grew up in a very low income situation. And here I am surrounded by all these kids with all this opportunity. And I think the game changer was reading. So I was really lucky, and I recognized that. And I also have an awesome mom and great grandparents. But can't we do that for everybody? Shouldn't every kid have that opportunity to take honors classes in high school and go to a 4-year degree and have a fun career that I really enjoy in TV news? I believe all children have the capacity to have the same luck and success that I had, but we need to be intentional about it. And it's not going to be reading for every kid. For some kids, it's actually going to be soccer. For some kids, it's going to be math, STEM, science, slime, something that gets them excited, that can be that lever to lift them up academically. That's what we're really trying to do here at Kids on Course. And we've seen awesome results when we look at the students' academic change, according to the district assessment and the state assessment. So we think we're onto something.
Great. Oh, I would say you are. And I think we have a photo we can put up here of the kids reading. A lot of these kids, look at them just having fun, right?
So cute.
Reading their book. They are adorable. A lot of the kids that you work with come from homes of what are called adverse childhood experiences, a lot of trauma, either in their past or currently experiencing that trauma. How do you adjust your programming to meet them where they are and to help them learn?
We do a lot of training with staff, and some of our staff members have experienced trauma in their own lives and have worked through that, and then have a really keen understanding of how trauma can affect a learning mind. And we see it every single day in the schools that we serve. We see children who are melting down, who are putting up walls, who are lashing out in the world, not because they want to, but because they have to. They don't have the coping mechanisms to deal with whatever trauma they've seen at home or they've seen in their neighborhoods. So we are very sensitive to meeting them where they are. And for some students, that means they're not ready to stay after school and do an enrichment opportunity or for tutoring. We need to get them plugged into Tanager mental health supports, maybe get them a BHIS person through 4 Oaks, some level of support to get them to where they feel safe in their skin. And then we can push them a little bit on that academic and that enrichment piece. We really have to be sensitive to what is happening in the child's life that is beyond their control. So even though we have pretty strict rules about attendance and we have expectations about turning paperwork in on time, we really lead with our hearts on this topic and make sure that we have a full understanding of the child's world, and we never punish a child for maybe the trauma that they've been exposed to and their coping mechanisms that may not be appropriate, but are to be expected with the trauma.
And you've talked about you do what works, not just what feels good, and you've mentioned the data, but speak to that.
I think it's really easy for us to say we're doing something like a coat drive, or we're going to give every child a book, or we're going to send them on a weekend to a water park. And we've actually done all 3 of those things, and they are really fun and great. None of those things are going to interrupt the cycle of poverty. And we look in the mirror a lot and ask ourselves, are we doing something in our program because it feels good and it gives us that immediate gratification? Or is it truly doing what this child needs to give them the support, the encouragement, and frankly, the evidence-based proof that it's going to make a difference in their lives long term? That's hard work.
It is hard work, and those hard looks in the mirror are tough, but it's so essential when you're doing the work you're doing. So we've had a lot of discussions about your program and resilience. Bring that to life for us. How do you see the work that you're doing is building resilience in these kids and their families and in our community?
We know one element of resiliency, no matter, and I've learned this from you, is that even if kids have had something really traumatic happen to them in their lives, if they can have anchors of happiness, if they can look back in their childhood and said, I had such a great time playing basketball on that team, that's when I met my best friend Jaquan, and she's my best friend to this day. If kids can have anchors of happiness when they look back on their lives or look back on their week or look back on their year, that can make a big difference so that when they look back, they don't only see their trauma. They don't only see the times they were hungry. They don't only see the times they felt like a failure in the classroom. If we can give them those moments where they were celebrated authentically, not fake, everybody gets a medal, but when they truly did win, that can be transformative for a child. They start having a different narrative about themselves. We actually surveyed kids at Wilsondale Middle School before we went there, and the students said, well, our school wrote in the narrative piece, our school never wins anything. You know, we're losers. That's just how we are. You're like 11 years old. You are not a loser, trust me. Right. And we started being really intentional about getting kids a leg up in tennis and basketball in elementary school, so when they got to Wilson, they could succeed on the field, on the court, and on stage. And we have seen that happen. They are winning games at Wilson. They are turning it around in big and small ways. And we see that change in kids' faces, and their eyes just light up.
Changing the narrative towards success. Tool number 2, to build effective resilience program, focus on what works, not just what feels good. Bringing together the hard data with the heart of the work. Stay with us. Hi, I'm Mollie Marti, and welcome back to Resiliency Matters. Today we're speaking with Beth Malicki, program leader at Kids on Course. Your program is data-based.
Yes.
Why is that important?
So we're putting kids on a path to post-secondary education. The easy way to say that is a path to college. But one thing we know is that 21% of low-income students in the United States don't even have the academic know-how or academic achievement to get into a four-year university. So 79% of low-income kids can't even go to college if they tried. That is unconscionable. We have to get them moving and get them in a position where they can apply to whatever future they want and get in. That's why we take all of our children who are in 4th or 5th grade at the schools we serve, even if they're in the program. It doesn't, they don't have to fill out the paperwork. All those kiddos get to visit at least one college campus in the Cedar Rapids area every year. So this, as you can see, is one of our trips to Co-College, who have been wonderful hosts to us in the past. We have to get them academically ready, but they also have to know, what is college? We've had kids on I went with one group to Co, and one student asked, so is this like the prison? Do you leave whenever you want, or is this like a prison? And that was a closer reality to that child's experience, is knowing what a prison campus is like, but a college campus is not something he'd ever been exposed to. So visiting college campuses, we think, is an important part of exposing kids to what's possible, but we have to get them academically prepared. And if they're not on grade level in reading by 4th grade, we are in trouble. So we spend a lot of time shoring up those reading skills in 1st through 4th grade, and if they need it beyond then, we will do it then too. Tutoring goes all the way through our high school program. So that is how we are looking at data. One thing to keep in mind also is students who come from low-income households are just as smart, are just as capable, and many times are just as eager to learn as students from higher-income households. The reality is they don't have the opportunities for private tutors, for summer camps, for museum visits, going to grandma's, at a lake house and learning about what happens in a lake. All those experiences build vocabulary and build context and help kids do better on standardized tests. So we try to replicate those opportunities and experiences in really intentional ways. And in our summer program, for example, called Kids on Course University, 89% of the participants had improved reading outcomes. 60% grew their reading skills over the summer. That's a really big deal for students who are low income, because usually kids lose up to 3 months of reading skills, those who are living at or near poverty over the summer. What we found is our students in our program gained a month and a half of reading skills over the summer. 1 in 5 students who attended that summer program, now on grade level. They don't even need summer remediation anymore. So we look at opportunities of, we don't want to interrupt what's happening at school, because school's going great. Actually, they're learning a lot during the school day. We're trying to add additional learning opportunities after school and in those summer months so that we close that achievement gap, to put them in a position to have choices after high school. So we are very data focused. I look at data around behavior, office referrals, suspension rates, academic achievement. We also look at demographic data. Is our program serving ELL students better than non-ELL students? Does race matter? What about gender? We spend a lot of time looking at numbers because we think we can find some answers and make positive tweaks based on that data.
Exactly. I love it. You know I do. I can get my geek on and talk data with you. We recently shared a stage at a youth leadership conference, which was awesome because it also was targeting low opportunity kids. And I had Peter on the show recently, and he wanted to share his mentors with kids who aren't surrounded by those mentors. And you gave a very fun speech, but it had these gems of wisdom, your life hacks, and you were getting these kind of tools directly to kids. And we do have some teens watching, we have parents, teachers. So I just want to run through a few of these life hacks, right? Things that you've learned through experience. You said sit near the front.
When you sit near the front, whether it's a meeting, in the classroom, even in church, you want to be where you can really engage and hear what's going on. It is so easy now that we have cell phones and smartphones in the world in the palm of our hand. If you sit near the back, you will disengage. You will just space out, and you might even go to your phone, and now you're really not there for the reason why you paid to be there, most likely. So sit near the front, engage and live in the moment and take it in, whatever that presenter, whatever that opportunity is. And it's really easy to tell that to high school students because they generally don't like to sit near the front. But research shows in college, students who sit near the front actually get better grades.
Yes, they do. Okay. You have your health.
You have your health. And that sounds really flip. I think we say that when everything's going wrong in our lives, at least I have my health. Working in TV news and doing stories about people who don't have their health, visiting hospitals, especially children's hospitals, oncology units, and meeting people whose health is a question mark. And if you've ever experienced a health setback in your life or someone you care about, if you have your health, you are so lucky. You can do so much because you can physically get there and mentally get there. Because when they say you have your health, we definitely have to include behavioral, social, emotional health. If you have that going for you, even if everything else seems down, get up, figure it out, move forward. Unfortunately, it often takes somebody experiencing a health setback to realize how valuable our health is. So if you are feeling healthy and strong, celebrate that and don't wait for something else to happen to galvanize yourself.
Purpose versus happy.
Yeah, so I'm kind of a big grump when someone's like, oh, I just want to be happy. I'm like, do you? Do you just want to be happy? Because I want more than that. I have days where I'm not happy, but I'm purpose-driven. I am so deep into what I'm working on, and it's so fulfilling, and it's hard, and it's sometimes really frustrating, but it matters. I'd rather have that than go through life just feeling happy. I feel joy when I accomplish something, and that feels really great. But if we keep telling everybody around us, especially our children, oh, just do what makes you happy. Oh, just be happy. You know what makes me happy is like nothing. Like sitting on the couch and watching Netflix. Like that isn't going to fill me with purpose in a way that's going to make me feel like I'm doing whatever I was meant to do on this earth. I want to have purpose. And that doesn't always mean I'm happy.
I think that's such an important point for kids. And one more, I think we have time to run through, fake it.
Yeah, fake it. So this can be hard. So I work in TV news, right? So we smile all the time, and even if you have a terrible headache or you've gotten in a fight with your spouse, you still have to be really on for your job and just fake it and get through it. And it's actually taught me that I can have a lot going on, and I can still get her done. I can still fake it for the moment and get through it and finish what I started and then really do that deep dive inside and work on myself.
Some great advice for our kids and parents as you help your kids move forward. Tool number 3 today: to truly change lives, be devoted to data, but lead with your heart. Thank you for joining Beth Malicki and me today on Resiliency Matters on MediaCom MC22, your local programming leader.